and of course their rallying call is about corruption. They want to fight corruption if they are elected into office in about 20 days. And she's a communication management and administration specialist. Now, first time in politics, this lady is going to be on the podium tonight. And she's the mother of 2 girls. Also, we have Justina Wamboi Wamai, Roots Party presidential running mate. Now she is deputizing Professor George Wajakoya. She is a youth advocate, a businesswoman, and she is a purchasing and logistics specialist. She is with us tonight and vast career in the private sector. She was a little known before this. However, she was thrust to the limelight. She was born right behind here in Kibra. Not her first time in politics, because I will tell you this, she tried in Mavoko and failed, and also tried to work for the government. She applied to be a permanent secretary, you know that? And of course she was picked by Wajakoya through a rigorous interview. Now we'll be telling you about the other 2 who will be appearing in the second debate.
Absolutely, and Ruth Musheru and Justina Wamai will make up the first debate tonight. These 2 candidates will show Kenyans how their parties plan to tackle major issues like the state of the economy and corruption as well. Recent data from the Treasury there showing Kenya's GDP standing at about 12.6 trillion shillings. Kenya's GDP last year again growing at about 7.5%. A good recovery and a strong recovery following the COVID-19 pandemic that threw global economies in disarray. However, Kenya's fiscal deficit continues to grow, growing at about 7.5% of the GDP from 2017-2018 to about 8.2% in 2020-2021. A higher fiscal deficit there, of course, means higher borrowing for the country. So how will these parties tackle these very important issues?
Economy is a big topic tonight. And of course, with 22 million of you going to the ballot, it's important that you know what they stand for. I mean, Kenya is the biggest economy in this region. So whoever is at the top matters most for not only the East Africa region, but beyond. And as Michelle mentioned earlier, we're not alone in this. It's a joint broadcast by all the media houses. It's being streamed live online. It's also not a television station and most of the radio station. Now, on the other side, my colleague Nimrod Tabu is also standing by. And Nimrod, perhaps a lowdown on what you know about these candidates and what they present tonight right here at Kwea. Nimrod?
Asante sana Ken, kama ulivyosema, milioni 22 ya wapiga kura na asilimia ndogo tu imepata fursa kualikwa kama wageni kuja hapa kuweza kusikiza mdahalo huu moja kwa moja kutoka chuo kikuu cha Catholic University Eastern Africa. Bila shaka umeniambia nimzungumzie mmoja wa wagombea hao. Nataka nimzungumzie Ruth Musheru Mutua, ambaye kufikia Juni mapema mwezi huu aliweza kuteuliwa kuwa naibu mgombea mwenza wa David Waihiga Mwaure kuweza kushikilia tiketi wakiwa pamoja ya Agano. Basi katika hotuba yake moja kwa moja, sio wengi walikuwa wakimfahamu, lakini punde tu kutoka siku hizo na siku ambazo zimefuatia ameweza kuwa ni mtu mwenye kutambulika, fursa akizipata anazungumzia masuala ambayo wanataka katika chama cha Agano kuweza kukabiliana na masuala ya ufisadi. Vile vile amesema ikiwa atachaguliwa kuwa mgombea mwenza katika tiketi ya Agano, vile vile atakuwa ni mwenye kutetea maslahi ya kina mama, wanawake na wasichana. Isitoshe, pia atatetea jamii ambazo zimekuwa zikitelekezwa na serikali tofauti hapa nchini. Lakini si mengi yanayofahamika kumhusu, kwani hajakuwa katika safu ya siasa ama uongozi katika umma ama masuala ya kisiasa, isipokuwa tu kwamba tunafahamu ameweza kushiriki kazi katika kampuni tofauti. Kama ulivyosema, aliweza kusomea shahada na kupata shahada ya masuala ya mawasiliano. Kwa hivyo ni mzuri kwa kuzungumza masuala ya mawasiliano. Lakini pia nieleze kwa kifupi kwamba alisomea shule ya upili ya State House Girls hapa Nairobi na hatimaye kuenda katika shule ya upili ya Visa Oshwal kabla ya kuingia katika chuo kikuu cha Nairobi na kupata shahada ya masuala ya mawasiliano. Lakini mtazamaji, mimi nafahamika kama Nimrod Tabu kutoka runinga Citizen, lakini hii leo siko peke yangu katika zulia hili jekundu.
Na mtazamaji, bila shaka ukiniita Busara na Aman nitaitika, na anatoka runinga ya K24 TV. Na bila shaka ni shukrani za dhati kuona kwamba umetenga muda wako na kujiunga nasi katika mchaka wa mdahalo wa manaibu ama wagombea wenza urais hii leo hapa katika chuo kikuu cha Katoliki cha Afrika Mashariki. Na bila shaka mwenzangu Mijungu tayari amezungumza mawili matatu kuhusiana na mgombea mwenza urais ambaye ni Justina Wamai. Lakini kwanza Tabu jamani, mazingira yapo vipi? mandhari yako vipi ndani ya chuo hiki?
Ama kwa kweli yanapendeza, usalama umeimarishwa, wageni walioruhusiwa kufika ni wale waliopata mwaliko peke yake. Kwa hivyo kwa wale ni wafuasi, tunawasihi watazame pale walipo, aidha kwenye runinga, katika mitandao na kadhalika.
Na bila shaka kabla tuzungumza mengi, kukumbusha tu mtazamaji upote pale ulipo, ukitaka kuzungumza nasi, ukitaka kutuma maoni au hata mapendekezo, basi tuma kupitia ujumbe mfupi. Nambari ni 22843. Nambari ni 22843. Lakini mtazamaji, kumbuka kwamba mdahalo huu unakuja wakati ambapo taifa linakumbana na gharama ya juu ya maisha. Na muda mfupi kabla ya mdahalo huu kufanyika, jamani, utafiti ulifanyika na Wakenya wengi wangependa usiku wa leo wagombea wenza ambao watakuwa hapa waangazie masuala kadhaa, ikiwemo kupanda kwa gharama ya maisha, vile vile swala la ufisadi, vile vile swala la ukosefu wa ajira miongoni mwa vijana na hata huduma mbovu za afya. Kwa hivyo letu ni jicho kuona kwamba je, wagombea hao wenza watakuwa na yepi ya kusema kuhusiana na masuala hayo katika sekta hizo mbalimbali. Lakini nikirejelea mada yangu na muangazia Justina Wamai, na tayari mwenzangu Ken Mijungu ashangazia safari yake, alikolelewa, alikozaliwa, alikosoma. Kwa hivyo mimi nitaangazia tu zile sera ambazo wako nazo ndani ya chama cha Roots. Bila shaka ni sera ambazo kidogo si za kawaida. Wanasiasa unajua, tunajua sera zao. Lakini kidogo kina Roots Party wanakuja wanatuambia kwamba wataanza biashara ama ukulima wa nyoka. Naam, kando na hayo wanasema watawanyonga wafisadi. Kama wewe ni mfisadi basi utanyongwa. Kando na hayo wanataka kufanya nini? Kuidhinisha utumizi wa bangi. Na mengi atakuwa anasema mwenyewe katika mdahalo wa leo, na kuwashawishi ama kushawishi wewe Mkenya popote pale ulipo uweze kumchagua iwapo ataweza kufanikiwa basi kushinda uchaguzi huu wa Agosti 9 ambao unakuja baada ya siku kadhaa tu za kuhesabu.
Na usisahau busara, azimio lao la kutaka kuairisha katiba kwa muda wa miezi 6 ili kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba mambo yanakuwa laini. Kwa hivyo ni masuala ambayo bila shaka wamepangiwa maswali ambayo pengine yatatusaidia kuweza kuwafahamu zaidi, kuelewa fursa zao, kuelewa zaidi pia manifesto zao, na pia ikiwa kama ulivyosema wana ushawishi aina gani. Ikikumbuka kwamba mdahalo huu umeandaliwa kwa sababu wao wako katika ile nafasi ambao bado hawajaweza kuwa na ushawishi mkubwa. Wana 5% tu ya pengine wale watu ambao wameweza kuwafuatilia au hata chini. Kwa hivyo ndio nafasi nzuri nafikiri kwa wao kuweza kujieleza na kushawishi wananchi ambao paka kufikia sasa pengine hawajafanya maamuzi ni chama gani ambapo pengine wataegemea.
Na pengine Nimrod, mdahalo huu si wa kawaida, manake kidogo idadi ya wanawake ni kubwa zaidi ikilinganishwa na wanaume, na si jambo la kawaida.
Bila shaka. Kwa hivyo tunatazamia mengi tu katika mdahalo huu wa kwanza, lakini kabla ya kuingia kwenye mdahalo wenyewe kirasmi, tunaye mwenzetu Trevor Ombija, hajaketi pembeni sana, yuko karibu nasi. Trevor.
Asante sana Nimrod Tabu na Busara Nama, na hapo awali Ken Mijungu na Michelle Ngele. Mdahalo mchaka mdahalo naanza hapa. Basi Kiswahili imeishia hapo. I'm seated here with a panel of 5. My name is Trevor Ombija from Citizen TV and Ramogi TV. I'm here with a panel of 5, 4 of them formidable women, to make heads and tails of this conversation, which really is a representation of the deputy presidential debate that is happening live right here from the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Let me start by introducing my guest. From my farthest left, Professor Gituro Wanaina is here, lecturer and also agricultural economics expert. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you, Trevor.
Nerima Wako is also here, executive director, Siasa Place. Asante sana for making time.
Thank you.
Dr. Nancy Baraza is here, former deputy chief justice. Thank you so much for making time. And on my right, Asaska Labarakwe, public policy expert. Thank you so much for making time. And Wanjiru Gikonyo, executive director, TISA, which is the Institute of Social Accountability. You had the front row on this discussion during the gubernatorial debate, and that's where we want to start, Wanjiru. What are the key issues you expect the deputy presidential candidates to speak about today?
Well, obviously, thank you so much, Trevor. Pleasure to be here with this illustrious panel, and great to see you, Professor Gedure. We expect to hear, of course, they're going to talk about their manifestos.
Yeah.
They're going to put forward the economic agenda. They're going to try and sell themselves, resell themselves to their base, but also try and reach out to the undecided. So we expect the parties to really resonate with Kenyans.
Yeah.
Right now, cost of living is a big issue. The issues around cost of living have to do with the policies of the Jubilee administration.
Yeah.
So, of course, there are contradictions immediately, and a lot of people are confused, wondering, if you look at Azimio,
Yeah.
the president is in Azimio. Yet the issues that are facing Kenyans have to do with the Jubilee Party. If you look at the other side, again, you're looking at the Jubilee Party. So there are contradictions. And the challenge with the candidates, of course, is to sell their agenda and to cut through these contradictions. We also expect to hear issues about integrity, issues about leadership, because a lot of the present problems have to do with state capture, have to do with corruption. Our finding in civil society, within 3 years of the administration being in power, there were 19 mega corruption scandals. It was unseen. The amount of looting and the levels of looting have never been seen before. So we want to get some reality checks and hopefully more truth than propaganda to enable Kenyans make good decisions.
Asaska, what are the key issues you want the deputy presidential candidates to speak about as a Kenyan living here?
Thank you, Trevor. One of the common things that cuts across all the 4 manifestos is the Kenyan economy. And it's just not some topic that is interesting to the politicians. It's also interesting to our 22 million voters in Kenya. And why is Kenyan economy coming into the picture at this time and at this period in time? One, it's clear that our democracy space is growing. And number 2, it's also due to recent development. One is COVID pandemic, which has led to high cost of living, high cost of fuel, there's high inflation. It's currently at 7.9%, even way above the bridge set by the CBK, and high public debt and runaway corruption. So definitely, if you look at all the 4 manifestos, you'll realize that there are some impressive commitments cutting across. If you look at the Roots Party, there's this controversial legalization of cannabis. And also, you'll see that the Roots Party is looking outward, not inward.
All right. We'll get into those discussions in just a bit, but let me bring in Dr. Baraza on this. Dr. Baraza, what do you expect these candidates to discuss tonight that is of utmost importance?
I think I expect them not to come here and electioneer, but talk about real issues. And these real issues include the high cost of living. I think they should be able to tell us and tell Kenyans what they are going to do about the runaway cost of living. Unemployment is a major issue. I come from the academia. We are churning out youth from the universities. They are coming out of colleges and they are going nowhere. They have no jobs. And we don't want a future of all our youth jobless. So I expect that they address that issue and in a very serious manner. Issues of health. I hear money being allocated to the Ministry of Health, but I don't think Kenyans are getting the services optimally. So I would want to hear how they intend to do this, but of utmost importance is the issue of integrity, as Wanjiru has said, and corruption. Corruption, which is a cancer, it is killing us, it is killing this country. I want them to address, or I expect them to address the issue of corruption. And Kenyans are expecting that they get candid responses on how they intend to tackle corruption.
All right. Nerima, as a representative of the youth, what is of utmost importance to you?
Hi, Trevor. I think everything has already been said by my co-panelists, and I agree with them completely. The fact that opportunities is going to be very high on the agenda, and how you're going to create those opportunities for young people, but not opportunities where you say we're providing a fund. We're very well aware that not all young people want to start enterprises and businesses. Opportunities within agriculture, food security. We are still undergoing a drought, so taking care of the population that is not normally seen as being Kenyan. They're second-class citizens, and that's how they feel, and it's an issue in our country. A lot of youth are in criminal gangs, talking about Mombasa County and even the northern frontier counties as well, and we tend to ignore these communities, because a lot of times when we talked about the division of revenue, that's where a huge chunk of the debate came out from, where counties are concerned about collection of resources.
Okay.
So even when we talk about opportunities, we need to be talking about debt. Our debt is just too high, and it's going to fall on the youth to pay that debt. And how are they going to collect resources for that debt? Because as much as we talk about corruption, we need to do something about it. It just definitely needs to reduce. This is also a political season where too much resources has been used in campaigns. My friends, too much. I think it's the highest I've ever seen, ever. And I'm not old, but it's a lot. Looking at, statistics. And so that means that whoever is coming into power has to figure out, one, to recuperate. Number two, they're going to have officials or frontiers who are within parliament who their first thing will be thinking, how I'm going to recuperate financially. And then number three, it's going to be about how we're going to be able to sustain ourselves, even when we talk about the high cost of living and the impact that COVID has made. So I would say opportunities, looking at corruption, our debt and resources, how are we going to be able to manage them? Inclusivity, how are we going to also engage communities that are not normally seen as people who are at the forefront of these conversations that are normally overtaken by the majority.
All right. Prof, I'll come to you to get your expectations in just a bit, but let's cross over to Busara Naman, who's standing by the registration center to tell us what's going on. Busara, kwako Busara.
Na mtazamaji, kwa sasa nipo katika upande mwingine wa Chuo Kikuu cha Katoliki cha Afrika Mashariki, na bila shaka hapa ndipo unapoingia pa kwanza kabla hujafika kwenye jumba kuu ambapo mdahalo unafanyika. Na bila shaka sehemu hii ni sehemu ambapo usajili unafanyika. Na je, kwa nini usajili huu unafanyika? Kuna umuhimu gani? Basi nitakuwa naungana na mkuu wa usajili katika eneo hili ambaye ni Michael Duya, atujuze mengi zaidi kuhusiana na mchakato mzima. Karibia hapa kidogo. Hujambo na pengine siku yako inaendelea vipi?
Si jambo, siku yangu iko salama.
Na moja kwa moja labda tutuelezee kwa nini Mkenya yoyote ambaye anaingia katika chuo hiki hivi sasa katika mdahalo, je, kwa nini anahitaji kujisajili?
Watu wanakuja kwa sababu ya security reason, tunawasajili kwa sababu ya security. Kila wakati wakija, tunafaa kujua ni nani anakuja ku attend hii debate. So pale kwa online tulikuwa na form zenye tulikuwa make for attendees. So wakisha do their registration, tunajua kwamba wanakuja ku attend debate for a specific reason. Tulikuwa tunauliza kwa nini wanakuja ku attend the debate. So hii inatusaidia pia ku enhance security na kujua ni kina nani wameattend hii debate. Yes.
Na je, ni vitu gani ambavyo vipo katika hiyo mchakato wa online ambao unafuatilia? Ni mambo gani ambayo yapo ambayo mtu anapaswa kujaza?
Pale online tunaweza kujaza bio details. The same time tunajaza vitu kama photo. Lazima upload photo yako ili tujue wewe ni nani. Tukiangalia na pia tunakuangalia, tunajua kumbe ni wewe ndio umekuja na pia umesajiliwa the correct way. Tunachukua pia kategori yako. Tunajua kama wewe ni delegate tunakuja ama wewe ni crew tunafanyia kitu inaitwa accreditation pia, so that tujue ukikuja unakuja under which media house na unakuja kufanya nini katika hii debate. Yes.
Kwa hivyo inamaanisha kwamba wote waliokuja hapa ni waalikwa ambao tayari walijisajili awali.
Yes.
Naam.
Yes, ukikuja ni lazima ukuli alikwa. Kuna list ya wale tulikuwa tumewatumia invitation. So wakishahakikisha kwamba ni the correct people wanakuja, ndipo tunaweza wapatia sasa entry into the event.
Naam, shukrani sana Michael Duya. Bila shaka mtazamaji, huyo ndo mkuu wa kitengo cha usajili katika hafla nzima ya mdahalo huu wa wagombea urais. Na mtazamaji, kufikia hapo narudisha upande mwingine wa studio.
Asante sana Busara Naman. Just for clarity purposes, this broadcast is coming to you live from the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Only those who are invited prior will be allowed into the vicinity. But we're not leaving you out. Online, you can always send us your views on presidential debates, KE 2022 as the hashtag, and the deputy presidential debates, KE 2022. Also, you can send in an SMS with your name and where you're texting us from to 22843 to weigh into the entire discussion. We'll sample some of views during this broadcast that is being aired across all media platforms. Professor, I was coming to you in terms of your expectations for this.
Before you went to the commercial break.
Just trying to clarify to the people how the registration is working out there so that they don't walk in here. But what are your expectations for this debate, Prof?
Yeah, thanks. And again, I think I appreciate being in the company of these heavyweights of ladies here. I think it's the same we expect in the debates. Yeah. There'll be only one gentleman, I suppose.
Yes.
And 3 ladies. I think the first thing is for them to appreciate and realize the position they are holding. You are holding the second person entrusted with the responsibilities by Kenyans. And therefore, what we expect you is to talk at that level. In the sense that, how am I going to look at a country like Kenya and place it where it's supposed to be in the world, in Africa? Could be the first economy in Africa, if not the second, you know.
Yeah.
I expect that from them. And as my sister talked about here, perhaps it's not a politicking. This is a very different discussion, because here they will be asked questions. When they get to the rural areas, nobody asks them a question. You are talking to the people.
Yeah.
Here, we are debating. And therefore, I would like them to go beyond what we are promising Kenyans.
Yeah.
Hope is not a strategy and will never be a strategy. Tell us, for example, we are going to have free education from ECD to the university. How? Anybody can say that.
Yeah.
Even the mad person in the street. But how are we going to do it? So what I expect, and I think the panelists here have brought the issues here.
Yeah.
If we look at the public debt, if we look at the fuel prices, how are we going to deal with it? That is something I would expect from them.
Yeah.
A very clear strategy. In fact, you move from hope to a strategy. And from a strategy, you have the implementation.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really expecting from them.
Okay.
Because the moment you tell the Kenyans, we have issues of food.
Yeah.
What makes us go back? Farming, agriculture. What makes agriculture tick? Water.
Yeah.
What is my plan to deal with harvesting water?
Okay.
What equals manufacturers? Energy. How are we going to deal with the energy?
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that are going. And I think Ebre, they brought the drought,
Yeah.
the public debt,
Yeah.
post-COVID, the war in Ukraine. And of course, I think I would not like to to say like Wanjiro there. I know Wanjiro hits below the belt of the times he has opportunity. And I think everybody has. We are looking for strong leadership.
Yeah.
A leadership which is no nonsense, in the sense that it will not allow things like some transaction cost.
Yeah.
That's what we are looking for.
All right. And Dr. Baraza, Professor Gituru is raising a very interesting aspect on position. The position they serve as the deputy president of the nation, the incoming one. The constitution itself, Article 147(2), is not even explicit on the roles of a deputy president. It simply just says he or she will deputize the president and execute functions by the constitution and assigned by the president. Is that where the problem is really? Did we err in passing it like that without clearing it?
I was part of the drafting of that constitution, and I think there was no erring, and I don't think there is a problem there. I think it is clear once you are a deputy, I think the constitution expects you to be a principal assistant to the president, and the president assigns you work, and I don't see a president who would fail to assign work. I don't think from the framers or the position of the framers of the Constitution there was a problem. The problem is being created in the office itself, in the presidency itself, probably people not wanting to appreciate the position that the Constitution gives them.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a problem there.
But as a person who took part in the drafting of it all, what happens if a president decides not to assign the deputy the duties?
The deputy decides to take the president.
Yeah, or the deputy decides to ignore what has been assigned. Did you look at that possibility?
I think the expectation was that we were not going to have that kind of friction.
Okay.
That for a presidency to run smoothly, there is a reason why the Constitution put there a principal assistant called a deputy president, and he would be assigned work.
Yeah.
And then there is a reason why the Constitution created a deputy president and called him a principal assistant of the president. If this principal assistant wants to outsmart the principal himself, I think now that is the problem of the persons holding those posts.
Okay.
Yes.
Wanjiru, was there a mistake there in the drafting of Article 147 that did not explicitly give the roles of what a deputy president should do?
Well, I think if you look at the practice the world over,
Yeah.
the deputy president deputizes the president on the assumption that ideologically they are together committed to the implementation of the party manifesto. That is the assumption. There are some things you can't legislate. And in fact, that is one of them. You cannot legislate that once you ascend to a position, you must abide to the spirit and the law. You can maybe take somebody to court